You'd think, after 30 years, I'd know that living in the parsonage is not for sissies. Even although all that experience might make me what some call tenured, I do not throw that dubious distinction around. No, I do not. In fact, whenever anyone new is visiting...
Well, welcome to my first Skype interview, and today I've got Lynne Gentry, and I'm so excited to have Lynne here. She's been a longtime friend and co-writer, and she's an author herself. So when she sold her first book to Tyndale, Reinventing Leona, I had to have her on so we could meet her and learn more about her stuff that she's writing. And so, Lynne, first of all, welcome from across the ocean. I'm here in Mozambique, and Lynne's in Dallas.
Wow, I feel like an international writer now, Lisa.
Definitely.
It's great to be here, and I have to tell everybody I write because you pushed me into it. You told me, I think you can do this, and I thank you for that. And it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks.
Well, time has proved that you can do this, and Lynne has got a lot of talent. So we're going to talk about her book. First of all, I want you to tell us about the call. Tell us about what happened when you found out that you had sold your first novel.
Well, I knew that Tyndale was looking at this, but it went really fast. We sent the proposal on Monday. They requested the full on Tuesday, and then I didn't hear for about a week, and so I wondered, what's happening. And my husband and I had just sat down to celebrate our birthdays. We had treated ourselves to a really nice restaurant, and my agent called me, and I almost didn't answer it because when she doesn't call me right away, it's usually bad news. I thought, I'm just going to answer it, and so I did, and Sandra said, "So, Lynne, did you ever wonder where you'd be when you got the call that you'd sold your first book?" And I think the wait staff was wondering what was in my iced tea because I started just jumping up and down and screaming. It was so exciting.
Very surreal and exciting. Wow. Now, Lynne writes all kinds of different stories. She and I have worked on a project together, but Reinventing Leona is a very unique, funny, it's just a unique story. Tell us about it, and what's the story behind the story? What made you want to write the story of Leona?
Well, my first foray into fiction writing was biblical fiction. I spent 2 years writing on it and just thought everybody would love it. Took it to a writer's conference, and everybody just wrinkled their nose. And so that year, funny stuff was all the rage, and so I thought, I need to go home and write something funny. But they said, write about something you know, but I'm a pastor's wife, and my life is not funny. So I really sat back and wondered, what is funny? And then a unique and sad thing happened. 3 of my really good older friends lost their husbands within the space of the same year. And over the course of watching them lose their husbands and get back on their feet, I realized that 2 of them regrouped, reinvented themselves, and went on to have rejoicing lives. But the 3rd friend curled up, shriveled up, and died rather quickly in a nursing home. And so it made me ask myself, what would I do if I was faced with that kind of a problem? And I realized one of my greatest fears was losing my husband, having to start over, and losing my identity in the process. Who am I? Could I possibly reinvent myself? And so I just started writing this story. And in the process, I didn't know what the Lord was really preparing me for, that 5 years later, I would have to totally reinvent myself.
Well, what I love about this story is I think it's something that everybody at one time or another has to go through. We go through different stages of life, whether it's saying goodbye to our children, whether it's saying goodbye to our parents, whatever it may be. We all have to, throughout our lives, reinvent ourselves. And sometimes it's more dramatic, like in losing a spouse, but it even seems like in little day, things, we go through these stages where we have to, wait a minute, we can't do this anymore. So I think it's something that's going to relate to everybody.
Especially in America right now, so many people are having to totally reinvent themselves in careers. They've lost careers that they've had for 20, 30 years, and now they can't get rehired. So what in the world are they going to do with their lives? And they really have to reinvent themselves.
Right. Yes. Our plans are not always what happens, and our plans are not God's plans, which, is the only comfort I think most of us can have is, His plans are greater than ours, even when we don't know what's happening. Which makes me want to ask, I know that you have a heart to making a difference in people's lives. What do you want people to take away from this book when they read it? People who are stuck in a situation where they have to reinvent themselves, what do you want them to take from this book?
I want them to take away that it's never too late to start over. Whether it is with a relationship, a marriage, your children, your career, it's never too late to start over. One of my, she's 5 years old, just sold her first novel. She is totally reinventing herself. She's had a very successful life in business, and here she is writing fiction. Just totally reinventing herself. It's never too late. That's what I want them to take away.
Wow, that's great. One of the things that interests me about you and your careers, it's so diverse. Not only do you do your fiction writing, but you're very good at script writing and in theater. And how has your theater background, and we'll talk a little bit later more about the acting that you yourself do, but how has your theater background helped you as you write?
Well, theater is really based on characterization and learning to accomplish that. And little did I know that training in characterization would really help me think my characters through. But I left the stage 30 years ago, but in the process, I became a director and a teacher. I teach private lessons, and when you have to teach somebody about characterization, that's when you really learn about characterization. And it's really helped me to go a lot deeper. So I really treasure that theater background, and I think it's blessed me.
Well, and it's blessed me too, because Lynn and I have actually written a book together, and boy, she has taught me about characterization. She whipped me in line, and boy, I learned so much. So yeah, no more cardboard characters, right?
No. They have to leap from the page.
Yeah. So tell us, what inspires you to write? To keep at it every day, even when you want to scream and it's discouraging, what inspires you to write?
Well, two things. I feel called, and writing, when you feel called, you have a real sense of peace when you're accomplishing what you've been called to do. And so when I get really stressed, just writing, going into that own little world where I can make people do what I want them to do, just it blesses me. So that's one reason I know that I'm following my calling. But really what inspires me to write are some of the weirdest things. I can see a little snippet of something in the newspaper, and this little idea to start percolating in my mind. Like a couple of years ago, I saw something in the newspaper about this cave, and it stuck in my mind. And then this Christmas, another piece of information fell into place, and so now it sparked a whole new story that I'm working on right now.
Well, and these things that spark ideas is one of the reasons why Lynn and I actually have written a book together, because of an idea that she read about and sparked an idea in her mind. Can you tell us just a little bit about the book that we wrote together?
I cannot wait for this book to find a publishing home, because this book really tugs at my heart. And I remember when I sent you the email and said, Lisa, do you ever write with anybody? And you wrote back and said, not really. And but you were kind enough and gracious enough to say, what's your idea? And when I sent you the idea, you said, I'm in. And I think we were both immediately convicted that this is a story that has to be told. It has to be the voice for those who have no voice in Tanzania. And I really pray that one day it will find a publishing home so that we can gather some funds to really make a difference and support our foundation that we have together, which is the Echo Project, which I really encourage viewers to go and check that out, the echoproject.org, and help us make a difference in the lives of those who have no voice in Africa.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. One of the things, besides writing together, well, I have to say, it was one of those ideas that either we had to write it together or I was going to steal it from her, and I thought, well, maybe I shouldn't do that.
I'm glad you were Christian about that.
Yeah. So since then, though, God has led us to start the ECHO Project, which works with education, compassion, health, and opportunity. We're doing a lot of exciting things here, mainly in Mozambique, but also in Zimbabwe. So you can go to www.theechoproject.org and find out more about that. We've just built a house for a woman whose her house burned down. She's a single mother of 5. And to see her smile of just a Reed one-room house is incredible. It's humbling, and we're doing a lot of exciting things there. So go check that out. And we have more good news too. We appreciate everyone who has watched this. Lynne has agreed to give away. It's an audio version of Reinventing Leona Harper. It's a hilarious presentation that you're going to laugh through. You're going to enjoy. It's a 45-minute presentation telling you, just telling how Leona Harper invented herself, and it's kind of based on the book, and I think you'll enjoy that. So go and leave a message, a comment on my blog or on Lynne's blog. Tell us how God is reinventing you. Give us some encouraging words about how God is reinventing you. I know that Lynne wants to encourage with this book, wants people to know that, as she said earlier, it's never too late to reinvent yourself, and to let God do that. And so leave a comment. Tell us that you want to win this audio version, and I think you'll really enjoy it. She'll send that to you. We'll choose one winner. So yeah, we appreciate you giving that away, Lynne. Any closing thoughts?
Well, I'd just like to close with 2 of my favorite characters in Reinventing Leona are Etta Mae and Nola Gay's story. And what I love about these 2 characters is this pastor's wife meets them first. They're charter members of their new congregation. She meets them when she arrives at the new parsonage, and she immediately perceives them to be her new thorn in the flesh. And but what I love about Etta Mae and Nola Gay is they turn out to be her strongest advocates. They are in her corner. And it really speaks to me that God sends us help in the most unique ways, and that we should never discount anyone's ability to become our friends. And those relationships that are thorny and rocky can be remade and reinvented. And so I'd just like to do a little sample of that when Etta Mae and Nola Gay stories first meet Leona. Hi, y'all. I'm Etta Mae Story, and this here's my twin sister, Nola Gay. Nola, help me welcome the new pastor and his wife. Nola. Well, Nola Gay Story charged down that sidewalk like she was a World War II bomber looking for Hiroshima. Do you can? Obviously, this was one of those questions, one of those pop quizzes, you know, the kind where the Lord says, take out a half sheet of paper, number 1 to 12, and answer all the questions on the quiz. Well, I know the answer to that, and I knew the answer to this as well. Oh no, Miss Nola Gay, the pastor and I do not dance, nor do we partake of alcohol in any form or fashion. Not can. Do you preserve vegetables? And then she pointed to a jar of pickles sitting on the porch railing. I knew there was no way I could answer this inquiry truthfully and make a good first impression on what surely must be 2 of the charter members of our new congregation. And if I had learned anything at our last congregation, it was the impossibility of digging out from under a bad first impression. No, ma'am, I'm sorry, I don't can. Well, now that's a shame. Our last pastor's wife was an accomplished gardener. Her pickles took first at the fair every year. And then she pointed at those blasted pickles sitting on the porch railing like she was Vanna White, and I had just bought the wrong bough. That's it. You'll have to cut it out there.
I love it. I'm sitting over here just laughing. That's great. Well, anyway, go and visit. I'll put the website on the end of this. Go visit Lynne's blog, see what she has to offer, and go buy a copy of Reinventing Leona. Thanks so much for chatting with me, Lynne.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. And blessings over there on the other side of the world. And I am coming to Africa.